My parents announced a surprise amusement park day and gave passes to every grandchild. When it was my kid's turn, my mom said, "She is too emotional," then handed the pass to the neighbor's daughter. I didn't raise my voice. I just quietly canceled something they assumed was guaranteed. The fallout hit before lunch. "My name is Rachel, and I need to tell you about the day my mother decided my 6-year-old daughter wasn't worthy of a theme park ticket, but our neighbor's kid was. Let me paint you the picture. It's a Saturday morning in June, and my parents call this big family brunch at their house in Scottsdale. My dad's grilling, my mom's got this huge smile on her face, and all my siblings are there with their kids. My brother Jason brought his 2 boys, my sister Melissa showed up with her daughter, and I'm there with Emma, my little girl who still believes in fairy gardens and talks to butterflies. Mom taps her glass like she's about to announce a wedding. "We have a surprise for all our precious grandchildren," she says, and my dad pulls out this stack of admission passes to Desert Splash Adventure. You know, that massive water park with the 7-story slides? The kids go absolutely wild. Emma's practically vibrating with excitement. One by one, my mom calls each grandkid up. "Tyler, come get yours, sweetie." My nephew runs up, gets his pass, gets a hug. "Brooke, here you go, angel." Melissa's daughter gets hers. "Connor, this one's for you, champ." Jason's youngest grabs his. Then it's Emma's turn. She's literally bouncing on her toes, her little sundress swishing. She starts walking toward my mom, and I'm smiling because my kid deserves this. She's been through a rough year with her dad and me divorcing, and she's handled it like a trooper. My mother looks at Emma, then looks at me, then says, "Actually, Emma, you're a little too emotional for something like this right now. You might get overwhelmed." I swear to you, the entire patio went silent. Even the birds stopped chirping. Before I can process what just happened, my mom picks up Emma's pass and hands it to Chloe, the daughter of our neighbors who happened to stop by. "Chloe, sweetie, would you like to go? You're always so well behaved." Do you think I should have caused a scene right there? Bez, I didn't. I just watched my daughter's face crumble. This little girl who'd been so excited 30 seconds ago now looked like someone told her Santa wasn't real. Emma grabbed my hand. She didn't cry, didn't throw a tantrum, just squeezed my fingers and whispered, "Can we go home, Mommy?" And that's when something inside me just clicked. Not anger. Something colder. Something calculated. I scooped up Emma, grabbed my purse, and walked toward the door. My sister Melissa caught my arm. "Rach, come on, don't make this a big thing." "I'm not making anything a big thing," I said quietly. "We're just leaving." Jason tried to. "Mom didn't mean it like that, she's just worried about Emma being sensitive." "Sensitive," I repeated. "Right. We'll be going now." My mom called after me from the patio. "Rachel, don't be dramatic. You're proving my point." I didn't respond. I just buckled Emma into her car seat, and as I'm driving away, my phone starts blowing up. Melissa texting, "You're overreacting." Jason calling. My dad sending a message. "Your mother was trying to be thoughtful." Here's what none of them knew yet. See, for the past 8 months, I'd been doing something for my parents. Something pretty significant. My mom has this whole vegetable garden she's obsessed with, right? And my dad's been recovering from a knee surgery. So twice a week, I'd been coming over at 6 in the morning before work to help maintain that garden, water everything, do the weeding, handle the heavy lifting my dad couldn't do. I also, and this is the part that's about to matter, had been organizing their 30th wedding anniversary party. It was supposed to happen in 2 weeks. I'd booked the venue, a beautiful garden restaurant they loved. I'd ordered the cake, sent out 50 invitations, arranged the catering, hired a photographer, even put together a slideshow of their life together. I'd spent months on this. It was going to be perfect. My parents knew about the party. Obviously, you can't really surprise people for their own anniversary, but they didn't know the details. They just knew to show up on the date and that I was handling everything. Want to know what I decided to do? I got home, put Emma down for a quiet afternoon with her favorite movie and ice cream, and then I opened my laptop. I sent exactly 7 emails. Canceled the venue. Canceled the caterer. Canceled the photographer. Canceled the cake. I called every single person on that invitation list and told them the party was off, family circumstances, so sorry for the inconvenience. Then I sent my mom one text. "I won't be available to help with the garden anymore. Best of luck with everything." That was it. No explanation. No argument. Just done. You probably think I'm petty, right? Maybe I am. But here's the thing, I didn't yell. I didn't guilt trip. I just quietly removed myself from the equation. The first call came about an hour later. My mom. I didn't answer. Then my dad. Didn't answer. Then Melissa, then Jason, all asking what was going on, why was I being like this, what about the garden, what about helping dad? Not one of them mentioned Emma. Not one apology for what happened to my daughter. By Sunday morning, I had 17 missed calls and a string of increasingly panicked texts. My mom showed up at my house around lunchtime. I watched her through the window knocking on my door calling my name. I was sitting on my couch with Emma, reading her a story about a brave princess who didn't need anyone's permission to have adventures. I didn't answer the door. What happened next? Well, my mom tried the garden on Monday morning without me. Let me just say, it didn't go well. And as for the anniversary party they were expecting their friends and family to attend in less than 2 weeks, they had no idea what was coming. Or rather, what wasn't coming. But I'll tell you what happened when they finally figured it out. Because the moment they realized what I'd done, that's when things got really interesting. So Monday rolls around and I'm at work when my phone buzzes. It's a text from my dad. Rachel, the tomatoes are dying. What did you usually do with them on Mondays? I stared at that message for a good 30 seconds. The tomatoes. Not, how's Emma? Not, we're sorry. The tomatoes. I didn't respond. By Tuesday my mom called me 4 times during lunch. I let every single one go to voicemail. The 4th message, her voice had this edge. Rachel and Morrison, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this silent treatment is childish. Your father can barely bend down and the garden is suffering. We need you. Can you believe that? I was being childish. Not her. The woman who gave my daughter's theme park pass to a neighbor's kid. Wednesday afternoon Melissa called. "Hey, what the hell, Rachel? Mom's freaking out. Dad's knee is bothering him and their garden looks like a disaster. You can't just abandon them because your feelings got hurt." "My feelings?" I said calmly. "Melissa, Emma asked me last night why Grandma doesn't like her. She asked if she did something wrong." Silence on the other end. Then Melissa sighed. "Look, Mom could have handled it better, but you know how she is." "She can also take care of her own garden," I interrupted. "What about the anniversary party?" Melissa asked. "You're still doing that, right? It's like 10 days away." I smiled. "Oh, is it? I've been so busy lately I must have lost track." Do you think I was being too harsh? Because part of me wondered. But then I'd remember Emma's face and the doubt would disappear. Thursday evening Jason showed up at my apartment unannounced. "Can we talk?" "Depends," I said. "Are you here to apologize for Emma, or convince me to take care of the garden?" He looked uncomfortable. "Can't it be both?" I let him in. Emma was at her dad's so we could talk freely. Jason sat down and rubbed his face. "What Mom did was messed up, I'll admit that. But you know how she gets with the grandkids. It's not fair, but it's how she's always been. So Emma should just accept being treated like she's less than?" I asked. "She's 6 years old, Jason. She doesn't understand Grandma gets like this. She just knows she wasn't good enough." He winced. "Dad called me today. The anniversary party. Rachel, they've been telling everyone about it for weeks. All their friends, church group, Dad's golf buddies. They're excited." "That's nice," I said flatly. "You did cancel it, didn't you?" he asked like he couldn't quite believe it. "I stopped organizing it," I corrected. He stared at me. "They have no idea, do they?" "Not yet. But they will. Soon." Friday morning at 7:47 a.m. my phone rang. My mom. I answered. "Rachel." He was screaming. "I just got a call from the Olive Garden terrace. They said our reservation was cancelled." "They said you cancelled it?" I took a sip of my coffee. "Yes, I did. Last Saturday, actually. That party is in 8 days. I'm aware of when your anniversary is, Mom. So you're just going to sabotage our celebration because you're throwing a tantrum?" Imagine hearing that. What would you have done? I stayed ice calm. "I'm not sabotaging anything, Mom. I simply decided I don't have the time to organize a party for someone who thinks my daughter is too emotional to deserve basic kindness. You're welcome to plan your own celebration. There's no time. We have 50 people expecting." "Then I guess you should start making some calls," I said. "I have to get to work." I hung up. Within an hour, everyone was calling. Melissa, Jason, my dad, even my Aunt Carol from 2 states away. Everyone wanted to know why I was doing this. Couldn't I just talk to my mother like an adult? Not one of them asked how Emma was doing. That afternoon someone unexpected knocked on my door. My grandmother. My dad's mom, who I hadn't seen in almost 2 years. She was 83, sharp as a tack, and she did not look happy. "Rachel Marie," she said when I opened the door. "I heard about what happened at that brunch. And what you did with the party." My heart sank. Even Grandma Dorothy was going to lecture me. But then she smiled, this fierce, proud smile, and said, "Good girl. It's about damn time someone stood up to your mother. Now let's talk about what happens next because, sweetheart, you haven't seen anything yet." What did my grandmother know that I didn't? Because when Dorothy Morrison got involved in family drama, things never stayed quiet for long. Grandma Dorothy walked into my apartment like she owned the place, set her enormous purse on my kitchen counter and pulled out a folder. An actual folder like she'd come prepared for a business meeting. First things first, she said, sitting down at my table. Where's my great-granddaughter? At her dad's for the weekend, I told her. Good. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't for little ears. She opened the folder and I saw printed emails, text message screenshots, even what looked like bank statements. Your mother has been running her mouth to the entire family about how ungrateful and dramatic you are. She's told everyone that you're the one who hurt Emma's feelings by making a scene at the brunch. My jaw dropped. She what? Oh, it gets better, Dorothy said, her eyes glinting. She's also been telling people that you're having some kind of breakdown because of your divorce, and that's why you're being irrational about the garden and the party. I felt my face get hot. That's complete bullshit. Dorothy finished. Yes, it is. Which is why I've spent the last 3 days calling every single person at that brunch and getting the real story. Including Chloe's mother, by the way, who was absolutely mortified when I explained what actually happened. She had no idea your mother had taken Emma's past to give to her daughter. Do you think I should have expected my own mother to lie about me like that? Because I didn't see it coming. What did Chloe's mom say? I asked. She returned the theme park pass to your mother yesterday and told her she was uncomfortable with the situation, Dorothy said with satisfaction. Your mother naturally acted like she had no idea why anyone was upset. I sat down hard. So now there's just an extra pass sitting there. Oh no, Dorothy said, smiling. There isn't. Because I drove to your parents' house this morning, walked in, I still have a key, took that pass off the kitchen counter and brought it here. She reached into her purse and pulled out the theme park ticket. This belongs to Emma. Not anyone else. I started crying. I couldn't help it. After a week of everyone acting like I was crazy, like I was overreacting, here was my 83-year-old grandmother staging a heist for my daughter. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet, Dorothy said. Because here's what else I learned. Your mother has been planning to throw herself a replacement party with her church ladies next Saturday. Small gathering, nothing fancy, but she's been telling everyone that you ruined her real celebration, so her friends felt sorry for her and offered to host something. Of course she did, I muttered. Now here's where it gets interesting, Dorothy leaned forward. I did some digging. Do you know how much money you spent organizing that anniversary party? I thought about it. I don't know, maybe $3,000? Between the venue deposit, the caterer, the photographer. $3,472, Dorothy said, sliding a piece of paper toward me. I know because I called every vendor you canceled and asked for the receipts you would have paid. Why would you? Because your parents never offered to reimburse you, did they? Dorothy asked. They just assumed you'd pay for everything out of the goodness of your heart. Like you've been doing for months with the garden maintenance. How much does a gardener cost around here? $50 a visit? And you were going twice a week. I'd never actually calculated it. I guess, $400 a month? For 8 months. That's $3,200 in labor you donated, Dorothy said. Plus the party planning. You've given your parents over $6,000 worth of your time and money, and your mother repaid you by humiliating your daughter. Hearing it laid out like that made my stomach turn. Here's what I think you should do, Dorothy said. And then she told me her plan. It was brilliant. It was also slightly terrifying. And maybe a little bit petty. A lot petty. But you know what? I loved it. That Sunday I sent my mother one text. I'll come by Monday at 10 a.m. to talk. Just you and me. She responded immediately. Finally. We have a lot to discuss, young lady. Young lady. I was 34 years old. Monday morning I showed up at exactly 10 a.m. My dad was conveniently at a doctor's appointment. I think Mom had planned it that way so she could talk sense into me without interference. She opened the door with her arms crossed. I hope you're here to apologize. Can I come in? I asked calmly. We sat in her living room, the same room where I'd spent countless Christmases and birthdays. She started in immediately. Rachel, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this behavior is unacceptable. Your father and I are at our wits' end. The garden is dying. We had to cancel our anniversary party because you abandoned us. You didn't cancel anything, I interrupted quietly. There was nothing to cancel. I'd already done it. Exactly. Without even telling us. Do you know how humiliating? Mom. I pulled out my own folder. Dorothy had helped me prepare it. I need you to listen very carefully. I spent over $3,000 organizing a party you assumed I'd just handle for free. I spent 8 months doing $400 a month worth of garden work that you never once thanked me for. And when I brought my daughter to a family event, you told her she was too emotional and gave her theme park pass to a neighbor's kid. My mother's face went red. Emma is too emotional. She cries at the drop of a hat, and I thought, She's 6, I said. 6-year-olds have emotions. That's normal. What's not normal is a grandmother playing favorites so openly that she hurts her own grandchild. I don't play favorites. Mom, stop. I stood up. I didn't come here to argue. I came to tell you that I'm done. Done with the garden, done with planning your events, done with pretending this family treats Emma fairly. My mother stood up too, her voice shaking. If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcome back. Do you think she actually meant it? Or was she just trying to scare me into backing down? I picked up my purse. Then I guess I won't be back. I was halfway to my car when I heard someone call my name. But it wasn't my mother. It was my father pulling into the driveway early from his appointment. And the look on his face told me he'd heard everything through the open window. What he said next changed everything. My dad got out of his car slowly, favoring his bad knee, and he looked tired. Really tired. Not just physically, but like he'd been carrying something heavy for way too long. Rachel, wait, he said. Please. I stopped, my hand on my car door. Dad, I really can't do this right now. I know what your mother did to Emma, he said quietly. And I know what you did for us. The garden. The party. All of it. I turned around. Then why didn't you say anything? At the brunch you just stood there while Mom. I know. He rubbed his face and I noticed how much older he looked than I remembered. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry, Rachel. My mother appeared in the doorway. David, don't you dare take her side. Susan, please go inside, he said, not even looking at her. His voice had this edge I'd never heard before. Excuse me. Inside. No. Rachel and I need to talk. You should have seen my mother's face. In 30 years of marriage, I don't think I'd ever heard my father speak to her like that. She sputtered for a second, then disappeared into the house, slamming the door. Dad walked over to me, moving carefully. Can we sit? My knee's killing me. He gestured to the bench under their oak tree, the one he'd built when I was 10. We sat down, and for a minute neither of us said anything. Your grandmother called me yesterday, he finally said. She told me everything. How much money you spent on the party, how much time you put into our garden, and how your mother's been twisting the story to the family. Yeah, well, that sounds like Mom, I said bitterly. It does, doesn't it? He looked at his hands. I've let her get away with this kind of thing for too long. With the favoritism, the manipulation, the way she treats people like they're supposed to just accept it. I stared at him. Dad, where is this coming from? Do you know why I married your mother? He asked suddenly. I blinked at the change in subject. Because you loved her? Because she was exciting, he said. Strong-willed, opinionated, always knew exactly what she wanted. I was this quiet guy from a quiet family and she was like fireworks. But somewhere along the way, strong-willed became controlling. Opinionated became cruel. And I just let it happen. To you kids, to the grandkids, to myself. I didn't know what to say. My dad had never talked like this before. When I saw Emma's face at that brunch, he continued, his voice cracking, when your mother handed that pass to the neighbor's kid and I saw my granddaughter trying not to cry, I felt sick, Rachel. Physically sick. And I still didn't stop it. I told myself I'd talk to your mother later, smooth things over, but I never did because I never do. Dad. And then you left and your mother started in about how dramatic you were being, and Jason and Melissa just agreed with her. Like it was normal. Like humiliating a 6-year-old was just how grandma is. He shook his head. I went into our bedroom and I realized something. I raised my kids to accept abuse. To smooth things over. To keep the peace instead of doing what's right. Tears were running down my face now. It's not your fault. It is though, he said. I'm the parent. I should have stopped this years ago. I should have protected you kids from your mother's worst impulses instead of making excuses for her. And now my granddaughter thinks she's not good enough because I was too much of a coward to stand up to my own wife. Do you think it's too late for people to change? Because sitting there watching my dad cry for the first time in my life, I honestly didn't know. What are you saying, Dad? I asked quietly. I'm saying you were right to walk away, he said. I'm saying your mother needs to understand that actions have consequences. And I'm saying... He took a deep breath. I'm saying I'm leaving. I froze. What? Not permanently, he clarified quickly. But I told your mother this morning before my appointment that I'm going to stay with Grandma Dorothy for a while. Until she agrees to go to counseling. Real counseling with someone who'll call her out on her behavior. Dad, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious, he said. 30 years, Rachel. 30 years of me enabling her because it was easier than fighting. But you know what? I'd rather fight and maybe fix this marriage than keep pretending everything's fine while my family falls apart. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My conflict-avoidant father was actually taking a stand. Does Mom know? About you staying at Grandma's. She does now, he said. That's what the yelling was about when you got here. I told her right before you arrived. Probably bad timing, but... He shrugged helplessly. We sat there for a moment and then he pulled something out of his pocket. The theme park pass. Emma's pass. Dorothy gave this to me, he said, handing it to me. She said you should have it. And Rachel, I want to take Emma myself. Just me and her grandpa-granddaughter day. If you'll let me. What would you have done? Would you have trusted him? I looked at this man who'd spent 3 decades avoiding confrontation, who was now literally leaving his wife to make a point, and I saw something I'd never seen before. I saw him actually trying. Hey, I said. But Dad, if you hurt her again. I won't, he said firmly. I swear to you, Rachel. Things are going to change. We hugged and I drove home feeling like I'd entered some alternate dimension where my father had a spine. But here's what I didn't know. While Dad and I were having our moment under the oak tree, my mother was inside making phone calls. Lots of phone calls. And by Tuesday morning, I understood exactly what she'd been planning. Because at 8 a.m. I got a call from Emma's school. Ms. Morrison, this is Principal Hayes. We need you to come in immediately. There's been a situation regarding your daughter and a concerning report we received. My blood went cold. What kind of report? It's better if we discuss this in person, she said, and her voice sounded weird. Like she was walking on eggshells. I got to the school 20 minutes later, my heart pounding. What could have possibly happened? Emma wasn't even at school yesterday, she was with her dad. Principal Hayes led me into her office, and sitting there was a woman in a blazer with a briefcase. Ms. Morrison, this is Linda Chin from Child Protective Services, Principal Hayes said. She's here to ask you some questions about Emma's home environment. My mother had called CPS on me. And suddenly I realized this wasn't over. Not even close. In fact, it was about to get so much worse before it got better. I sat down in that chair and my whole body went numb. Child Protective Services. My mother had actually called CPS on me. Linda Chin opened her notebook and said gently, Ms. Morrison, we received a report expressing concern about your daughter's well-being. The caller claimed Emma has been displaying signs of emotional distress and that you've been isolating her from family. Who called? I asked, even though I already knew. The reports are anonymous, but they mentioned being a concerned family member. Principal Hayes cleared her throat. For what it's worth, we've seen no signs of distress in Emma. She's a delightful, well-adjusted child. But we're required to take these reports seriously. Do you think you would have stayed calm? I wanted to scream, but I stayed in that chair and answered every question. Then Linda asked to speak with Emma. My daughter was perfect. She told Linda about school, her friends, what she did at Daddy's house, and when asked why she was sad about Grandma, Emma said matter-of-factly, because she said I'm too emotional and gave my theme park pass to Chloe. But Mommy says sometimes people make mistakes and it's not my fault. Linda looked at me with new understanding. 30 minutes later, Linda stood and shook my hand. Ms. Morrison, I see no cause for concern. Emma is clearly well cared for and thriving. I'll be closing this case and noting the complaint appears to have been made in bad faith. I held it together until I got to my car. Then I called my dad, sobbing. What happened? He asked, alarmed. I told him everything. The silence lasted so long I thought the call had dropped. Then my father said in a voice I'd never heard before, I'll handle this. Don't call your mother. Don't engage. I will handle it. 3 hours later, Grandma Dorothy called me, cackling. Rachel, check the family group chat. Your father just grew a backbone the size of Texas. I opened the family chat, the one with everyone. My dad had written a long message calling out everything. How Mom humiliated Emma, lied to the family about me and called CPS with a false report. He said he'd asked her to seek counseling and until she did he was staying with Grandma Dorothy. He said if she contacted me or made further reports, he'd consult a lawyer about separation. He ended with, Emma deserved better from all of us. Rachel deserved better from all of us. I'm ashamed it took me this long to say it publicly. Imagine seeing your father say that where your entire family could read it. The responses flooded in. Melissa apologizing. Jason saying he owed me a big apology. My Aunt Carol yelling at my mom in all caps. Various cousins chiming in with shock and support. My mother? Radio silence. The next few days were surreal. My siblings both apologized properly. Jason brought flowers for Emma. Melissa admitted she'd been dismissing my concerns because dealing with Mom was too hard. On Friday, 2 weeks after the brunch, my doorbell rang. My mother stood there looking small and defeated. Can I talk to you and Emma? She asked quietly. If you'll let me. I let her in tense. Emma was coloring and looked up without smiling. Mom sat down, hands shaking. Emma, sweetheart, I owe you an apology. What I did at the brunch was wrong. You weren't too emotional. You're perfect exactly how you are. I was being mean and I hurt you and I'm so sorry. Why did you give my pass to Chloe? Emma asked. Because I was being foolish and forgot what's important, Mom said, voice cracking. She pulled out 2 theme park passes. These are for you and your mommy. For whenever you want. And if you ever want to invite me even though I don't deserve it. Emma looked at me. I nodded. She took the passes. Mom turned to me, tears streaming. Rachel, I've done terrible things. The favoritism, the lying, calling CPS. I don't know if you can forgive me. But I've started therapy. Real therapy. And your father and I are in counseling. I'm trying to understand why I became this person. We talked for over an hour. I didn't forgive her right away. I told her it would take time, that she'd have to prove she'd changed. But it was a start. 3 months later, things aren't perfect, but they're better. Mom's still in therapy and she's actually different. More self-aware. She apologizes when she's wrong. She asks about Emma's feelings. Last week she asked if she could take Emma for ice cream and actually waited for permission. Dad moved back home, but he doesn't let Mom steamroll anymore. He stands up for people. Mom's learning to catch herself when she's being unkind. Emma went to the theme park with Grandpa and had the best day. And 2 weeks ago, Emma asked if Grandma could come to her school art show. I said yes. Mom showed up with flowers and told Emma her painting was beautiful and meant it. It's not a fairy tale ending. Mom still has moments where old behavior slips through and I keep my guard up. But she's trying. My whole family is trying. And sometimes that's enough. So that's my story. My mother humiliated my daughter, I canceled her party, my dad finally stood up, and somehow we're rebuilding. It's messy, but we're getting there. If you enjoyed this, I'd love a like. And if you've been through something similar, please share in the comments. Your support means everything. Thank you so much for listening.